The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar, now open on match days.
Chance here, a great save by Turner from McClare. Might come a terrific goal by Sheridan.
Rexman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me, first of all, on the line, our ever ready James Marriott. James, your boy, how the devil are you?
I would never describe myself as ever ready. Ever sleepy you can have, not ever ready.
Victoria's here as well. Hello there, Vicky, my darling.
I'm ever ready, my lord. I'm always up for a pod, as you know.
I'm glad you said pod, my darling. Mr. Fudge is here. Fudgy.
Yes, I'm here right from the start. I've not turned up halfway through. That's 2 weeks on the bounce. Do I get some kind of prize?
You can have a gold star, oh boy. We've got an incredibly special guest. We've only got Joe Cran for you, looking mother chuffers. Joe, the hot bean, how the devil are you?
I'm fine, thanks very much. I like how you make out like I'm a special guest and just not another Wednesday out like you're lot, though.
You are a special guest, Joe. Getting you on this pod is very
special to us, Joe.
And we mean actual special. You're actual special. Not in the way that, kids who get their own bus. Yeah.
For you, Fudge, that was incredibly diplomatic. Well done.
Oh, thanks very much.
Right, we've got quite a bit to get through this week, ladies and gents, so let's crack on, shall we? First things first. I mean, normally we do start with the games, of course, but we can't really this week. We have to get this done. Mr. Forestieri has been a bit of a silly boy this week, hasn't he? I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Everybody knows what happened. We all saw what was what. Clearly, he had refused to travel. Not refused to play, but he had refused to travel. You'd imagine that he'd need to travel there to play, but hey-ho. And it all got a bit silly after that, didn't it, boys and girls? Honestly, I don't know how to start this conversation off. Fire away, please.
It was something that I'm a PR person. That's what I do. And if that had happened at any company I work for, whether I was at Sheffield Wednesday or Capita or whoever I've been at, I would have woken up that morning and gone, "Oh my God, what am I going to do today? Like, how is this day going to pan out?" But credit to Sheffield Wednesday and to Trevor Braithwaite, Mark Rowan and the team, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. They have handled it so well. And I'm sure Carlos and Mr. Chansiri had a massive part in it, but hats off to Trevor because he has done this so well. But yeah, I was before we all went to go and watch the match the other night. Obviously, James was there. I went to the pub and I didn't want to go. My boyfriend literally had to drag me out of the house with like proper
Stop. Is that a teenager literally, or did he literally drag you out of the house?
Literally had to grab me by the arm and say, "Look, just man up. Like, what is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't want to go."
To get you to the pub, that doesn't require physical strength. That requires some kind of psychologist or something.
We've
got
a bottle of wine in the fridge, and I was like, I'd rather just stay and drink that wine and cry. And like you see on cartoons when people's mouths like turn into a frown and the bottoms of the mouths hit their chin and beyond. I was like that all night. It was like it was having a long-term partner who you were convinced was a little bit of a flirt or doing something behind your back, and then finding out that they'd gone to meet someone who you knew for a fact they were cheating on you with. It was awful. I felt physically sick all night. But obviously now it's all great and he's fine, staying.
Yeah, luckily everything did well. I mean, Joe, you put a cracking piece out there on is it joecran.com? I'm just having a guess there, Joe.
Yeswecran.co.za. Just going to pump my blog a little bit there.
Absolutely. Pump away, Hobbin.
Fudge, where are you?
Do you know what? I was dying. I was on mute and I'm absolutely breaking my shit laughing. But yeah, that's really funny. And I realised that nobody can hear me. Sorry, yes, that's crantastic. Keep pumping away there, Crangella. That's lovely stuff. That is. No.
Luckily, I happened to be on Twitter when Joe pumped away, and I jumped on it more or less straight away. And I think the sentiment that you put across, Joe, was felt by a lot of Wednesday fans, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, my whole viewpoint on the thing was, I was trying to be a little bit more objective. I was trying to think partly as a Wednesday fan, but partly as a human being at the same time. And I think there was some of the responses from our fans was awful, man. Like some of the way they're going off at him, going off at his wife, and I'm like, firstly, what's she done? It's not her fault. But I mean, like I say, the way that people were kicking off about it was quite worrying for me, and I think because I work hand in hand with football players every day of the week, like I think I kind of wanted to try and play devil's advocate a little bit, and one of the main things I said in my piece was, yes, there's never an excuse for what he did in terms of refusing to travel, refusing to play. There's never an excuse for that, but at that point, I just felt like we'd literally heard from Carlos. That was it. We hadn't heard his side of the story. We didn't know what was going on, and I think the way that some people jumped to conclusions was pretty abysmal, really. Like I say, I think it was just a little bit too harsh. So I wanted to put something together that was a little bit more objective, that tried to not justify it, but tried to make people think a little bit further than what was right in front of their nose, if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely. I think you're quite right. I mean, if on this podcast, I mean, we all know that we're utterly committed to this podcast, apart from when Eddie's on holiday 97% of the time.
Listen, I'm not having it. I'm on holiday.
The Forestieri of this podcast.
We're not paying me enough. There's other podcasts out there wanting to pay 12 million for me.
As silly as it sounds, if you imagine, Victoria, that
Yes.
well, first of all, imagine that we actually get paid for doing this nonsense. Secondly,
can you imagine?
if James obviously came on last year and I was paying James £100 a week to this podcast, and you were only getting £50 a week, you'd be a little bit miffed about it, wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd smash a lot up, my lord. Definitely.
Actually, I was speaking to somebody I know that's been in the football world, and wanting to be the top earner of a football club is quite the thing. Apparently, they're quite uppity about it. Now, as far as my understanding, he wanted to be on the same, if not better, money as Stephen Fletcher, who became our top earner when we signed him. I don't think this has got anything to do with Derby County or anything to do with Newcastle at this point. However, for me, I think he deserves it. I think he does deserve to be one of our top earners, if not the top earner.
This is my whole thing, like with my post as well. One of the things that I did say, and which was probably the crux of it all, was they say that no player is irreplaceable, but in a literal sense, Forestieri is. For the way we play, for his importance in the role, there is no other player we could get for the money we could get, and that was one thing I was saying, and I presume what you're going to say now is with Stephen Fletcher, Forestieri, I think it was a third of our goals last season he either scored or assisted. I mean, I'd say that's deserving of being the top earner in the club, if you ask me.
I think you're right.
Mic drop.
I was going to say, I love the way that email pinged in, just to make his point.
No, I can totally see that side, and I can appreciate that. But you don't not turn up to work because of that. I mean, like, I know I work for a charity, so I'm not going to not do that. But
it seemed like a lot of. I know what you mean. But a lot of Wednesday fans seem to forgot that Wayne Rooney pulled the same stunt 4 years ago. Do you remember? However, at the end of it all, he still got 300 grand a week. You know what I mean? He still got the money he wanted, and so Forestieri's agent's gone, I'll tell you what, this works. Do you know what I mean? You might look like a knobhead at the end of it, but it works and it gets you what you wanted. Now, in terms of supporting a family and supporting your lifestyle and your new wife and whatever, what's more important? The people on Twitter kicking off or actual money in the bank?
If you had to feed your family, Fudge, right?
Right.
And could you manage to feed yourself, your wife, and whoever else comes along for £15,000 a week? Could you scrape by on that money?
Okay. Well, how long
that's irrelevant, surely, isn't it? Because we don't live in the same world as footballers, but they live in the world that they live in. So, as Vic says, it's relative. It's relative.
Yeah, but it could be rented, and he's not going to be earning a bloody penny by the time he's 37. Do you know what I mean? A footballer's career is about 12, 13 years long. And me for one, I'm all for him earning as much money as they can in that short period of time. Yes, we're working longer. And by no stretch of the imagination do I think that by the time I'm 55 and, Forestieri's 35, we'll have kind of evened out. But I don't begrudge them earning the money. And because bear in mind as well, their bodies are buggered by the end of their careers. Can you know, those out there that listen to this that play Sunday morning football, at like, you know, from about the age of 28, it's going to take you a couple of days to recover. And, you know, I can't go to training because I'm buggered on a Wednesday night because my leg's still hurting and I'm 35 years old now. Now, imagine these people who are playing football 6 or 7 days a week, you know, early mornings. And this is top level football as well, where you've also got to exert yourself and take a beating. That, you know, it depends what you value more.
At the end of the day, if you earn 30 grand a year in Sheffield, as I've said before, you are living a good life. You know, you can afford to go out every so often. You can afford to get a house. You can afford a decent enough car. If you're earning 45 grand a year, you're buzzing. You've got everything. If you're earning 60 grand a month, you are absolutely laughing.
When we talk about money, you're talking money in a literal sense in terms of financially. There's also the issue, and like I say, I deal with a lot of these players, and I know some of the way some of their brains think. And with the finances on this issue specifically, it's as much about respect as it is about the actual money. It's not so much how much he wants to be earning, it's how much he wants to be earning in relativity to other people within the squad. So in his brain, what may be going through it is this guy's come in, he's done absolutely nothing for the club. I was brilliant last year, and now all of a sudden I'm down the pecking order. And I think that he probably, like you mentioned earlier, he probably wants to be earning as much as Fletcher. It's not a case of him going in and asking for like a ridiculous figure. He's probably gone in and said, look, I feel like I am as important, if not more important than this guy you've just brought in. Prove that to me by making sure I'm on the same money. And I think that it's an ego thing, isn't it? I mean, these football players, as most of us do in life, have egos. And I think that when the money's there, like I say, it's not always about the actual finances of it in terms of the monetary value. It's about how much it is compared to everyone else.
I get that. I've just got one last thing to say on it, and it is for me. I don't think he's the first football player in the last week, in the last month, in the last couple of days that has done this. And I think that there are a lot of times when the manager in front of the press just goes, well, he's injured, got a groin injury. This is one of the very few times where they get called out and gone, well, he refused to travel. And then the fans turned on him. And all of a sudden now, the club managed to get back the strength. They managed to get back the power. And I thought that was clever from the club, mate.
Yeah, I think they handled it brilliantly. I think Carlos and the chairman and everyone, I think, as Vic said earlier, I just think the whole thing was handled superbly. The only issue I did have with it is, and it's probably a minor problem, is the way that Wednesday fans kicked off about it, and that was because Carlos threw him under the bus, basically. But like you say, at least he gave us the truth. It would have been very easy to say, he's picked up an ankle injury, he can't train, he couldn't travel, and then no one would have known any better. But I think Carlos felt a little bit betrayed, and I think he felt that we deserve to know the truth as well.
Yeah. In the fact that, like, since his apology, which I firmly believe, having worked there, I honestly believe that was from the heart. It was probably recorded and then written up in less broken English. But I know the style of writing that comes out of that football club, and that was not in their style. So they have written that pretty much word for word. But they've shown him. They're like, do you know what, mate? Like, yeah, you might be a youngish guy, but you're still a grown man. You can live up to your own mistakes. And I think Forestieri, as a person and as a player going forward in his career, will have learned a hell of a lot from this situation.
Do we think there was anything in the passive aggressive bike thing? Do we think that was an actual dig now we've seen all this happen since?
I think that's just him being a bit cute. Yeah, I think he just enjoys riding a bike to work. He's that kind of guy, isn't he? He's a little bit different in his kind of his personality, his approach. I'm not sure that the two are related. Although, you know, people have made a big deal about that, haven't they? And they made a big deal about, a video where he's kind of showing that he's got nothing in his pockets and all that kind of stuff. Which I think, you know, you can take anything and analyse it and turn it into something that it's not. Just one thing off the back of all this that I wanted to mention, which is I've been really impressed with how resolute Mr. Chansiri has been about the fact that we are not selling any of our top players. You know, he's taken every opportunity to make that point. He's allowed Carlos to make that point. He's publicly said it himself in his statement that we are not interested in selling. And he doesn't need to do that. You know, he could keep his options open, and just the fact that he's really shone, I think, through all this, and I think he's come across really professional. And I was really proud of his statement. Yesterday, was it? As we record now on Wednesday night, I think it was yesterday. And I just think that he's just handled it really well.
No, absolutely. And I think another thing that his statement left a mark on is that if any players try to do this again, he's not going to stand for it. Obviously we know Mr. Chansiri quite well now, and he's a big chap on, as a lot of sort of Thai culture is, of respect and all that kind of thing as well, isn't it? And I mean, that statement left me saying, yep, line drawn under it, everybody's happy. Forestieri's apologised, but if anybody else does it, there's going to be trouble. And he's just basically said, I'm the boss, and just weed all over Hillsborough and said, this is mine.
Was I the only person that this started to conclude itself, didn't it? Sort of yesterday and the day before. So kind of Monday, Tuesday, you could feel it was it had moved at quite a pace, and it was getting to the point where it was almost going to be wrapped up. And that's kind of where we are now, is that, you know, within half a week, it's gone from being a huge big deal to actually we're just back to where we were, you know, a week and a half ago.
Quickly was vital.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I just kind of I looked back on it on kind of Monday, Tuesday, and just thought, do you know what? It's kind of been a bit of a storm in a teacup for me. It's been like something and nothing. It's all got blown massively out of proportion. He did something really stupid. He's been punished for it. It just feels like it just turned into something absolutely huge, but was then solved, you know, relatively quickly, and now we just get the hell on with stuff. I don't know if it just became a bit more. Didn't we? Yeah, probably so. Yeah,
everybody was so scared.
So. We don't want to lose him, do we? But you know, it's just I don't know, just strange the way that it just became such a big deal for like 48 hours, and then next thing, it's all sorted now.
To be fair, I think everybody was a little bit bored of it after a while, wasn't they? We all knew what was going to happen. Fernando apologised once, then he did his great big statement, followed up by Mr. C's great big statement, and we're all friends again, which is wonderful news, isn't it?
I saw a great tweet yesterday. Someone said, Chansiri's a genius. He's just announced his statement, so no one will pick on the fact that they've just given a midfielder the number 3.
Oh, we're used to that now, aren't we?
Right then, ladies and gents. I mean, of course, all this happened just before the Norwich match, didn't it? And it kind of, as Vic said, put us all in a bit of a odd mood for Norwich, because we were all a bit worried about this one. Turns out we didn't do too badly, did we? I think the Norwich fans, as we were expecting to get a bit of a trouncing, and Norwich did come out the blocks absolutely flying, because we were really on the back foot for the first 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes, weren't we?
Yeah, they really did set off at 100 miles an hour, and I mean, it was a weird day, and there was a weird atmosphere there, because obviously the events that had unfolded. I've got to say, by the way, I felt particularly sorry for David Garrido, who he got the train there, and as he got off, the pub that we were in was bang opposite the train station. So I was like, "Oh, come on, mate, come and have a pint." So he came across, and we were stood at like the far side of the outside area, and it must have taken him 15 minutes to get across to us. The sheer number of people stopping him saying, "Is Forestieri playing? What's going on? Is it true? It's not true, is it? You'll know that. You're at his wedding. You must know. Can you text him now and ask him?" And yeah, the poor guy, just took him so long to get across, and he barely had time to drink his drink before he had to go again. So many people coming up.
I thought when you said it took 15 minutes to get over to the pub, I thought it's because he was pissed up like he normally is.
Yeah, the mood changed very rapidly when it became apparent that these rumours that had been going round, and I'd been saying to people in the pub, I'd been saying, look, it's nothing, don't worry about it. You know, it's not going to be true. He's not going to. There's no way that he's not travelled. And then when it broke that it was true, the mood really changed, and everyone's head went down a bit. When we got to the ground, the atmosphere was a bit strange there. There were some people trying to get some songs going that were very anti-Forestieri, then there were people that were booing them, and it just kind of like, as the game started, it just didn't feel like we were in the right place as a set of fans, or maybe as a team, that this one has just come at the wrong time now. But you know what? After them starting at 100 miles an hour, you know, we really grew into that great game. And second half, I don't know if it was the same, watched it on the TV, but second half I just thought there's only one winner in this. We were absolutely throwing everything at them, and it felt like they were hanging on. You know, it really... I honestly thought we were going to score in the second half. It's such a shame that we didn't, because it had been a great win. But I thought, terrific performance. I thought Tom Lees and Sammy Hutchinson were magnificent. Bannon was brilliant as well. Abdi had a good game as well. You know, it was so many superlatives from that game. A really good performance and such a good point. And to have come out of those two games, and you know, obviously things have changed a bit since, but to come out of two games against two relegated Premier League teams with 4 points and not conceding a goal was just top notch. That's terrific.
One thing that sort of pointed out to me on that particular game was, yes, we were struggling a bit, sort of linking up the midfield and the strike force, for want of a better term. But when Fletcher came on with his marvellous headgear as well, by the way, it seemed to sort of have that little bit of a link. And that's really, for me, when the chances started, when Fletcher appeared. And we actually noticed, again, when he went off after the head injury, that's when we started to stagnate a bit. I think Fletcher's going to be a really important signing for us this season.
I should think so, on 40 grand a week, bloody hell.
Don't say 40 grand. Don't, because he'll go on strike again. Fessi, if you're listening, it's only on 28. But you're the top earner.
It's on £42 a week. It's an apprenticeship.
Yeah, it is. It's a modern day apprenticeship. He's also doing an NVQ in bar work. Just ignore it. Let's move on.
I watched both games from here. Luckily they're both on TV. It's nice to watch the first two games of the season for a change. But I think I saw a lot of positives there. I couldn't believe how well Hutchinson and Lees worked together in those first two games. I mean, you could really tell when Lees wasn't there. I would listen to the game, and there seemed to be such a gap in the back four. I mean, you guys were there, you'd have seen it. I mean, was it as bad as it sounded on the radio in terms of the centre pairing?
What, Burton?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess we'll come on to that in more depth, but without Tom Lees is absolutely our leader now. He is the spine of the team. He's the gel that holds it all together. And when he's not there,
don't say this. He's now going to refuse to turn up for games now because
he signed a new contract 2 weeks ago. You pillock.
He's going to be like, I'm not travelling to Rotherham. I'm not having it.
While we're still on the subject of Norwich, I've never done this before, but can I award myself Tweet of the Week for managing to crouch on the floor and get a photo of a guy who had a Forestieri tattoo on the back of his leg and post it during the pre-match period.
That was brilliant.
Saying how much of an idiot he felt. And I think he did see me doing it as well. So one of my mates went up to him and started having a bit of a laugh, and he was sound. He was great, but
he was sound. Listen to you talking street. I am sound, dead sound.
He was sick, man. He was sick.
He was dope.
It was quite a faded tattoo, wasn't it? It
was a header tattoo. It wasn't a real tattoo. It was a header tattoo.
Oh, okay.
He just needed to have a wesh, basically. It'd be fine, it'd have gone.
A wesh.
A wesh.
Actually, I said down here the other day, bulldog chewing a wesp, and I got the same response from that. It's not got E in it. What's the matter with you? Yorkshire.
One thing from the Norwich games, of course, was first of all, the Bannon chance, which really, it was a little bit behind, but beautiful football leading up to that chance, of course. Ball a little bit behind him, and of course the Zhao chance as well. Why? And this again links onto the Burton. Why are we not just leathering the football? Because it's getting a bit silly this now, isn't it? We're creating these chances, and we're really struggling to finish them off.
I know exactly what it is, Lord H. Tell you what it is. We used up our quota of worldies last season.
We don't need worldies. We just need someone to put the chuffing foot through the ball. That one with Zhao, he took a first touch. There was no need for a first touch. Just hit the chuffing thing.
We were in exactly the same situation 12 months ago, weren't we? We were, finding the same kind of problems. We've changed the team slightly. It's early stage of the season. Just don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine, Lord. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to. Don't get me wrong. The Norwich game, after what had happened with Fessi, and obviously the build up to the game itself, and how well Norwich have played, was fantastic. I mean, I would never, ever, ever say I'll take a point before any match at all. But I must admit, the way they played after the Forestieri mess and seeing the football that we played, I thought it was fantastic. The Norwich fans, of course, booed their team off the pitch, didn't they? So that's always good to see opposition fans doing that as well. But then, of course, Burton happened, and this is a team that do put the foot on the ball, and look what happens when they do that.
Are we allowed to use the word wank in this podcast, or is that not allowed?
I don't know.
You can do whatever you like, James. If
right,
no swearing, please, James. No
swearing.
We've got
it's only a mild swear word. It was wank.
I think we should have seen this coming, though. To be fair, I think we should have given them more respect, given their first game of season against Nottingham Forest, and they went in front twice, didn't they? And then end up losing it in the last couple of minutes. I mean, they're not a team that are shy of scoring a goal, and for us, I think we're a little naive to not get straight into the emergency loan market or get straight into the transfer or whatever it took to put out a natural centre-back pairing against this team, because this is a team that can score goals. And instead, we thought, it's only Burton, we'll smash them. We're bloody brilliant, it's bloody Wednesday, aren't we? And just part of me is kind of glad that it's happened, because it's made a few of our fans and hopefully the players realise that they're not mint all the time. You know what I mean? And it made our fans realise that, we're not going to win every game.
See, I don't know whether or not there was an expectation for us to win. I think people felt that, we should be good enough to win. But certainly before the game, I felt a real nervousness that last season we struggled against some of the teams towards the bottom end of the table. Now, all right, Burton aren't towards the bottom end of the table at the moment, but we kind of expect that they will be there or thereabouts come what may. So there was a real nervousness of are we going to be able to show that we've moved on a level since last season and we can go to these little grounds, these difficult places to go to and still get 3 points. Unfortunately, we got the answer to that last night, which is that we had, make no doubt about this whatsoever, Burton were head and shoulders the better team last night. They were terrific. They spread the ball wide and we just didn't have a clue. We've got to remember the fact that, we started the game with a guy who spent the last 2 seasons playing central midfield and a central midfielder as our 2 central defenders. Sammy is naturally a centre-back. Semedo's played there before. Semedo goes off, so we end up with a left-back playing centre-back and a right-back playing at left-back, if you're following. So it was as makeshift a defence can be. And I think what it does is it really reminds us of the fact that we've still got recruitment to do and we need to do it quickly, because we need to be able to go to places like Burton and get something from it if we're serious about making a push for the top 2, because there's only so many of those games that you can afford to lose before you've just got to you realise it's not going to happen for you this season.
May I ask, Jay, before Semedo went off, because there's been a lot of sort of things said about Semedo. The tide seemed to have turned on the poor chap. Before he actually went off, how was he playing? Was he playing well? Did it look a bit more solid when Semedo
I'm going to say, I bet he was playing average, and everybody else was, he wasn't doing that bad. I bet he was doing all right. I bet it was just average, because we love him and we just let him get away with average performances. That's my take on it.
I don't know. I was smashed, mate. No,
You're taking photos of men's legs.
Do you know what? I think you make it sound pervy, Yeah, he looked all right, actually. He did. There was a noticeable change in the game when he went off. I think that he was he was quite solid. I think that he kind of held the back 4 together. When he went off and we got Hutchinson and Padil at centre-backs, that didn't work, and it quickly fell to bits. And to be honest, we were lucky to keep it at 3. It looked like every time they came forward that they could score. It didn't look like that before Semi went off.
Had it not been for a couple of cracking saves, one particularly fantastic save from Westwood, it could have been rather more embarrassing, couldn't it? Of course, there's a young chap that we should be having a little look at, I think. A young chap, Mr. O'Grady, who had a bloody belting game last night as well, didn't he?
Sign him up.
As he really was. I mean,
I've heard a rumour, my lord, that he is better than Adam Lafondra. Is it? So sign him.
Oh, come on, Fudge is better than Adam Lafondra.
And I mint me.
Let's not go too far. But no, I mean, there was points last night where he was sort of just nudging Fessi off the ball. I was missing that bit of grit in this. Have we got too much lovely flowing football, and sometimes you just need a big, to use a Fudge term, shit kicker.
Shit kicker.
In the middle of the park, just to give it a little bit back. I mean, obviously that's what Hutch used to do, but it's a little bit more difficult to do that playing centre back, isn't it? If we needed someone to sort of chase around and be that guy, we had Hutch to do that, but we don't at the moment, do we?
No, we've kind of been playing Bannon a little bit in that role, haven't we? The kind of the deep lying midfielder, and he's tenacious and he kind of runs at people and he'll get at you, but he's not that physical presence that Hutch was. I mean, Bannon's about 4 foot tall, isn't he? So we could do with a Hutch character that we maybe don't play game in, game out, but we know is there, that we can bring into those games where we need to keep a really solid midfield. We need to keep a shape, and last night would have been perfect for Sammy to be playing in midfield. And who knows, if he was, it might have been different. But you know what? I mean, we lost the game, and we lost the game convincingly. And sometimes I would rather us lose games convincingly than play really well and lose to a scrappy goal in the last minute, because then you kick yourself a bit. At least we turned up. We were given a bit of a lesson in scrappy. Effectively, they were a League One team last year. It's League One football that they're playing, and we had no answer for it. A week ago at Cambridge, we had no answer for it. So we've got to learn the lessons from that now. Carlos has got to be able to identify the fact that we can't compete against teams that play a scrappier style of football, and there's going to be a fair few of them this season. So if he's serious about getting us promoted, he's got to get on the training pitch and figure out a way that we can beat these teams. Otherwise, we ain't going up. That it's just not happening. And we've got to have faith in him. We've got to believe that he can do that with the players that he's got and the players he wants to bring in. We've signed another midfielder this week who's a quality player who can play in a number of midfield positions. We'll come on to him in a bit. So I think it's just a matter of keeping the faith right now and not getting ourselves in too much of a tiz about what happened last night.
One last thing from the Burton game, unless anybody has anything else, is how angry was Westwood? God, crikey, did you see him screaming at everybody?
He gets very passionate. I think James and we were behind the goal for the Charlton game when we got beat 3-1 last season down there. And he was fuming. And I think you and I said to each other saying, he's probably going to want to leave, given how angry he is. Yeah. But it turns out he's just Mardy.
Right then, ladies and gents, so let's crack on. As James alluded to earlier, we have made a bit of a signing this week as well. David Jones has joined us, another midfielder. We've got a lot of these midfielders.
David Jones, you've been gone too long. You can have that, banana rum. Yeah, Hillsborough. You're welcome.
I wonder if there were people that really believed that it was the other Dave Jones and that he was coming back.
I believe I did. I text you all like, oh my God.
You dickhead.
I know.
Of course, he has had various different promotions from the Championship to the Premiership with various different clubs, hasn't he? So this experience that we need is certainly there. But again, it's another midfielder. We've got a few midfielders, haven't we?
You can't have too many though, can you? You need. We're talking about having 2 players for every position. That means you need 8 midfielders minimum. Plus, you've got to remember the fact that we might not always play a defensive central midfielder, so we probably need 2 of them as well. So
and the other ones, and some of the midfielders are playing centre back as well, aren't they?
Yeah,
let's not.
It only takes them. 1 or 2 injuries, and you end up playing people like Liam Palmer in central midfield who just shouldn't be playing in that position in this league.
Put in a bit of an Alex Lopez replacement. I was looking over his stats and stuff. He's very good on the ball. I think he got something like over the past 5 seasons, I don't think he's had a pass completion rate of less than 81% or something like that. So he's very good on the ball, and he's also, I think, only two centre midfielders in the league completed more interceptions than him last season as well. So I think he's come in to just shore it up a little bit. I think he's not a player you're going to get goals from, really. He'll probably pop up with a couple, but he's just someone who's going to come in and, like you said, solidify things. I do think he's a bit of a Lopez kind of player. I don't think he's got the same sort of flair as Lopez, but I think I mean, he's got a hell of a lot of experience, hasn't he? He played, didn't he? He played Burnley's first game in the Premier League, so
yeah.
I mean,
is it 112 Premier League experiences or appearances altogether?
Yeah, something like that. He's
That's
over
good going, isn't it? That.
Yeah, and he's not old either. Like, I mean, he's 31, so it's not like he's a 35-year-old who's on his way out. Like, he's still got a good few years in the tank.
I'm quite interested and really like the way in which, without ever announcing it as a policy, we've been recruiting players that have, either got Premier League experience or been promoted to the Premier League. Stephen Fletcher, Prem experience, Padil, Abdi, both been promoted to the Premier League. Davy Jones, by the way, I've decided we're calling him Davy Jones just to differentiate. Four promotions. There's only one player that's had more promotions to the Premier League than this guy. He's got 100 odd Premier League experiences.
Who is it? Let's do a guess. Is it Kevin Nolan? Is it?
No, but you're close there.
Kevin Phillips.
Kevin Phillips. Yeah. He's done it 5 times. So he needs one more promotion to equal that record. So this is a guy that's really going to want to do it.
That was an active call they made after last season, because one thing I noticed in the playoff final was a lot of the guys, you could see it was their first big final. And I think that with the players, like you say, the players we've brought in, you can possibly get rid of that, because I think it was a noticeable difference with the whole team. The whole team didn't look overawed by it, whereas a few of our boys did. And I think now we've got that experience with the guys who were there last season and with the guys that have been brought in who've done it multiple times. I think if it comes down to a crunch again, we'll have a better chance of getting what we need, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Did you just steal Lord Hillsborough's catchphrase then? Absolutely.
Oh, it wasn't.
If it was anybody else,
wasn't knowledgeable. Sorry, Lord. I will punish myself by opening another beer.
Drinking to forget, James.
Drink through the pain. Drink through the hangover. That's the answer.
Right then, so let's crack on. Next thing, of course, when the Forestieri things came out, etc., Carlos popped a bit of a tweet out after the game saying, essentially, it might have been a sort of a backhanded dig, if you like. But one of the things on that tweet was that Andy Rhodes, our goalkeeping coach, had lost his father on the day of that match as well, which is obviously just there's no words that we can say that's going to make that any better, worse, whatever it might be. But obviously, first of all, it pointed out the absolute commitment by Andy Rhodes. And I mean, I put a little bit of a tweet out that day and said that Andy Rhodes really is one of the unsung heroes of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, isn't he? He's been there since, 2010, thereabouts? And he's seen some keepers come through, and nobody has ever had a bad word to say. And to keep your job through all of those changes we've had since 2010, he must be absolutely incredible, wasn't he?
We've had some good keepers in the time as well, haven't we?
We really have. Everybody's just full of praise for him every single time. I mean, there was a bit of a piece in the Star as well, mentioning that obviously from Westwood singing his praises, as we see these pieces pop up every now and again. But apparently he's worked with Westwood before when he was a kid, and it was one of the reasons that Westwood actually came to the Wednesday in the first place was because Andy was already here. And that's not the first time we've heard that either. A lot of keepers are happy to come to Wednesday because they know they're going to be under Andy Rhodes. And I think it's just amazing that this, I don't want to say backroom staff, of course not. He's very, very clearly very, very good at what he does. But it really is one of those things that it just doesn't get shouted at enough, does it? It really, really doesn't.
It's been really nice this week, hasn't it, that everyone's kind of taken the time just to show that bit of appreciation, because you're right. He is one of those people that is kind of easily forgotten because he goes about his work in the background. You see him on the pitch when the players are warming up, but certainly for me, I never really make it into the ground more than 5 minutes before the game starts, so I never really see him working with the keepers or anything like that. And it's almost a shame that it takes something like this to happen before everyone to kind of just sort of stop and say, do you know what, we just want to let you know that we really appreciate you. And I know there's been talk about like a minute's applause or something like that at the next game. I don't know if that will happen or not, or whether that's quite right and quite appropriate, but that's not for us to debate. But I do think it's nice that everyone has just taken that little bit of time to just kind of show their appreciation for him.
Absolutely. Right, so next thing on the agenda, transfer rumours. Of course, we're still in the transfer market. I think every single Wednesday fan has mentioned the word centre-back rather a lot this week. I popped a little tweet out mentioning that we need a couple of CBs. Aussie Owl quite happily tweeted me back a picture of 2 CB radios that he's ordered for us, which bless him. But no, it's one of those things. Carlos and the team are clearly working on this, because if we can see that we Carlos can, and he has mentioned before that these things take time and there's a lot of effort involved, and I'm sure the club are working very, very hard about it. But we have been linked with a few others as well, haven't we, James?
Yeah, well, so just today there's been talk. I'm glad that Eddie's not on tonight, because it means we can talk about this sensibly. We've been linked with making a return for or making a move to bring Vincent Sasso back. Yes, he's a beautiful man. Now let me take you back to Wolves away last season.
Let's just no.
But it wasn't just that as well. A few people pointed out on Twitter that he.
Can we not just have a few moments just to think about?
No, because we've done this before, and he's not actually that beautiful. Joe Bennett is a lot more beautiful.
No.
Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, I mean, Gary Medine ran rings round, didn't he, in the game when Bolton came to Hillsborough last season, and there were 1 or 2 games where he looked off the pace. He just didn't look really good enough, and I don't know if he's really the solution. I was a bit more excited earlier today when we were also linked with a move for Shane Duffy, who's apparently turned down a new contract at Blackburn, so you would imagine he's probably going to go during this transfer window. However, I've realised this evening that he's now scored 3 own goals in the last 2 games, which is an amazing statistic, incredibly hard to achieve, but then probably makes you wonder whether or not he's the right guy for you to be signing to cure your defensive woes, isn't it?
But he is a very, very good centre-back, or maybe he was a very, very good centre-back. I don't know.
He's only young, though. He's only like 23, 24, isn't he? It's not like he's ancient.
And
he
that's
does seem to have been around for a long time.
Absolutely. And
yeah, he's 24.
And we've mentioned before lots and lots of times that that's what we'd like to see, a young centre-back coming in to make this partnership. And obviously, he's going to have to work for it now, because Hutch has been having a blinding time back there with Mr. Leeds as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, well said. Whoever comes in is not going to go straight into the team, because there's no reason. You don't drop Leeds, that's just a given. There's no real reason to drop Hutch at the moment. I think that the 2 big tests that we've had against Villa and Norwich, which are the only 2 we can really measure our defence against at the moment, because it was such a different back 4 last night. They've both been solid. You know, we were saying earlier, Hutch had a really good game at Norwich. He looks like he's been playing in that position all his life. Granted, he has played in that position most of his life, but he's had 3 or 4 years of not playing there regularly. So the fact that he's readjusted it so quickly is a real achievement for him. But we do need better. We need better options as backup. We need players that we can bring in. You know, is the idea of bringing in someone like Sasso as kind of 4th or 5th choice centre back a terrible idea? Maybe not. But like I said last week, I'd be a lot more excited about us going for someone like the guy at Barnsley or the guy at Bristol City than, you know, someone that we've already seen play for us and was all right for where we were there. But we've got to step up a level now.
But saying that, if it had been there against Burton, we might not have had the problems that we'd had.
Well, he's actually a centre half, isn't he? So we'd taken him with open arms. We didn't have any.
Any other transfer rumours?
Yeah, so there's been a bit of talk about us making a move for Callum McManaman, and there's been a few teams that have been linked with him. I think we're talking fairly big money as well, if it's going to be an actual permanent transfer. So whether or not that makes it more likely, less likely, I don't know. There's been people talking about, you know, 6, 7, maybe even 8 million. But it's another guy that's got Premier League experience. I don't think he's won promotion to the Premier League before, but he's played there for the last few seasons now. Good Championship experience as well. And he falls into that category of what we lack a bit at the moment, doesn't he, in terms of wide players and players that can play wide.
Do you think we're in the market for a £7 million player? Because Carlos has alluded to the fact that we maybe not quite at that level just yet.
Are we saying 7 million though? Because West Brom signed him for like 4.5, and he's played 12 appearances. So is
that all? That's poor. Isn't that?
Yeah. Is that an extra 3 million on top of his?
Probably not.
He's the kind
of player I would more expect us to be going for on loan than actually wanting to take on as a full-time player.
He's a bit of a luxury player as well, isn't he? He's not a player that we need right now. Like if he came in, it'd be nice to have, but it's not like a position that we're sort of screaming for right now.
What he would give us, which I think we lack a bit at the moment, is, and we maybe had it last night because Forestieri was on the bench, but you don't look at our bench and think it's filled with players that can come on and change a game for you. So if you go back to our first few years in the Championship, when, love him or hate him, you'd always got JJ on the bench. And if it was a game that was slipping away from us, you could change the shape because you've got a player there that could come on and do something.
Does he come in as a second choice in on the bench player though? If he's dropping down to the Championship, that's the other question, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we're going on the basis of our conversation at the start of this podcast, if we're offering him the right money, he'll come and sit wherever we tell him to sit. He'll grab the money, and that's what it's about, isn't it, for footballers now? Absolutely.
Right. So, last little bit of Wednesday news before we move on to the preview of the Leeds game. Dylan Atkinson has unfortunately passed away as well. It's rather odd circumstances. This, of course, we don't want to see this of anybody. We've all seen the story. Mr. Atkinson was tasered essentially by police. We don't know the sort of ins and outs of why that happened or anything at all at the moment. But just looking back at his season at Wednesdays, we all loved him, didn't we?
Yeah, it's tremendously sad news. I mean, I'm absolutely devastated. He was one of. It's really weird, like when you see names and things that pop up from your childhood. Because I remember I used to get teased at school because I used to mix him, Daly and Atkinson, Daley Thompson, and Viv Anderson. I used to mix them up when I was a kid, and then you kind of had to educate myself who they all were. You know what I mean? And so I actually became a big fan of him, and kind of weird, but it really annoyed me that he got referred to as, a 40-something-year-old man has been confirmed as being, and it just made him seem so mortal. Do you know what I mean? And I'm genuinely devastated, and I just hope his friends and family are doing all right.
I always remember, I actually, the season he played for Wednesday was the season before I got into football, so I don't really remember him ever playing for Wednesday. But I remember when he went off to Spain after that, didn't he? And then the season that we were back in Division 1 was when he went to Villa. And we played them in that opening game of the season, which is, well known and well remembered for many, many things. Atkinson's return, us going 2-0 up and then losing the game. But Daly Atkinson scored a goal in that, and to this day I've never seen, or I still can't now appreciate how someone could kick a football as hard as he did when he scored that goal against us. It nearly tore through the back of the net. It was absolutely it was beyond belief. And to this day I can't get my head around it. I just can't understand how he managed to do it. There's also the very famous goal that he scored on the first day of another season, which I think was at Wimbledon, where he basically, clears out the entire Wimbledon team and then lobs the goalkeeper. It was it's a thing of beauty, and it's been doing the rounds on Twitter. And if you've seen it and not watched it, you need to watch it because it is one of the all-time greatest goals. And we've got our memories, haven't we, of Daly and what he did at Wednesday and what he did subsequent, which no one can ever take.
Oh, absolutely. Right, then, ladies and gents, last little bit for this evening. Of course, we have got the Yorkshire Derby. It still sticks in my throat that a little bit, if I'm honest. But we're off to play. Well, the Leeds are coming to play us, shall I say? And this is one where we really need to get back on track. And do you think the players are going to see it that way? Are going to be up for a fight on this one? Because hopefully, it's going to be a bit of a scrap.
Yeah, I reckon Carlos will have given them a real roasting after last night. He will have tore them to bits. He'll have really given them a hard time, and they'll have been working hard in training. And they know that they let the fans down last night in a week where we really didn't need that. We needed the team to really pull together and deliver, and they didn't. So they've got to put that right on Saturday, and I think they'll know that, and I think they'll have been working on that, and I think that it will be in their minds that they've really got to be on it on Saturday. Really got to be on it.
I'm hoping that if the Forestieri plays, that he feels he's got a point to make to Celino as well. I know, as has happened before. Like, I think he's got a point to prove if he does start. If he's given a chance to play again, he's got a point to prove to him. He's got a point to prove to us. And I hope he sticks 4 in and we win 4-0. That'd be quite nice, that, wouldn't it?
I do think, as much as don't get me wrong, I want us to do the best we can possibly do, but I do think that Fessi needs to start at home, because I think if you bring him on a bit later on, and the possible reaction that we may well get from the crowd won't be good. If you start him, you're not going to get that same sort of balance. Do you know what I mean? So, you bring someone on and you either get cheers or boos. I think if you start with somebody, it's a lot easier to kind of wash out the boos if there are any. I do think it. I do, yeah.
No, anybody that's caught booing at Hillsborough, personally, I think we should all.
Don't get me wrong. No, I completely disagree with it, completely. But I do think that for a player, it's not healthy to hear that as you run onto a pitch.
Honestly, if anybody is booing Fessi at Hillsborough, yeah, fair enough. I understand why people will still be a little bit miffed. I utterly understand that. But to boo would just be absolutely ridiculous. It really, really would.
No one did it at Burton. But then, there was the guy that was on the Football Heaven phone in the other night, who said, and he said this in all seriousness, and I had to switch the radio off after this because I just couldn't listen to it anymore, who says that he will never celebrate a goal scored for Wednesday now by Forestieri. He will stay sat in his seat and refuse to celebrate.
That's just stupid, isn't it?
It's just idiotic, isn't it? It's the same people that say that no one's bigger than the team. In which case, then all you should care about is a goal for the team rather than who scores it. It's a massive contradiction and it's stupid.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I've said it myself about Niall Ranger, for example. I was like, I'm not going to celebrate if he scores, and I honestly did not celebrate. And I do believe that if as a woman especially, but whatever, if that sort of situation happens, then yeah, you don't, if you don't want to celebrate those goals, you don't. But I just worry about, his confidence. He's obviously been knocked a lot over the last few days.
And he's a very confident player as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's a risk to bring him on as a sub. Just start him and just, grit your teeth and bear it. Just get on with the first few minutes and just see what happens.
But it's going to be an interesting game because obviously Leeds they've not started too well, have they?
Yeah, it's been brilliant, hasn't it?
Been the best start to the season for them. So, they'll be coming in. It's the perfect game for them to sort of turn a corner, if you know what I mean. It's to come to Hillsborough and get a result it will be a big deal for them. So to stop that from happening, I think would be just as big for us, as you say, after losing to Burton and losing so badly as well. It wasn't a good performance when we got pipped. By the sounds of it, there weren't too many positives to take from it.
Can I just revisit a conversation that we had earlier on? Because, we were talking about Shane Duffy and how he scored 3 own goals in 2 games. He's also now been sent off. So it's really not been a great week for him. I'm thinking we maybe knock him off our list of targets.
Yeah.
Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on. Has anybody got any little bits this evening?
Yes. So, my lord, I'm so excited. I'm just I'm getting straight in. So, the Wednesday week, we now officially have a shop. Woo! So people can buy basically shit from our shop, but I would just like to talk you through it.
Yeah, are you not? Earlier on in the podcast, did you not say you're in PR, Victoria?
Yeah, sorry. Amazing quality. Absolutely. Fruit of the Loom is up there with Versace. These are top quality t-shirts.
To be fair, I was set up as a joke. If I'm honest, I apologise if that's not the case. But
no, this is real, my lord. This is going to fund a new muff. This is exciting. So basically, if you go to spreadshirt.co.uk/the Wednesday week, you can find all of our t-shirts that are available. We do have one t-shirt that is in James's name that says, "Can we talk about Wolves away?" And you get the little podcast badge on it and everything.
Mine's the best.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on Vic's list. Is proving quite popular at the moment. We've also got a couple of phone cases with our logo on that say Bosch in massive capital letters. But we've got a T-shirt on there as well that's just got the Wednesday Week logo and then a space on the back that you can write your own name. So you can wear a T-shirt with our logo on and your own name on the back. We're on our way, as mad as a fish in petrol. Let's crack on, shall we?
I must admit, the most fun part of this entire thing was asking people for phrases that they like on the
brilliant.
podcast. My personal favourite was somebody on Facebook, actually, that put one for Dan Fudge that said, was that racist? It was a man.
Yeah, we don't have that T-shirt, funnily enough.
It's weird, though.
We have a few Dan Fudge T-shirts. We do have a Wednesday Week thong and Wednesday Week boxers available. So if that's what you want.
I like the thong.
What was it that Beastie suggested? Do you remember Beastie suggested something? He said if you get a pair of pants and wrote Bumhole Lane on the back of them.
No, it wasn't going to happen.
No.
I'm in charge of our shop.
Have on the front,
there was also Dickie out. No.
On the back, we should have Bumhole Lane.
No.
That's hilarious.
My suggestion to have Stephen Fletcher's gash on a pair of on a thong didn't go down very well either.
This is why I have the login to the shop.
I'm going to break into this and I'm going to make the Mind the Gap pants. And I'm
Oh my God, you know the password. Oh my God.
I tell you what, listen.
There are loads.
We do need to say, though, we do need to say, it's not us blowing smoke up our arse and thinking that we're mint. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
look how great we are. We've got merchandise. It's a bit of fun. And I tell you what, like Lord Hillsborough says, even just going down to the suggestions we got of how we're remembered, I find that really funny. Like the "Let's Talk About Wolves Away" phenomenon that seems to be hitting the internet right now, I find hilarious.
I think we should also do some retro ones from Beastie was on as well. Fudge, you mentioned we should have one that said...
You lot were slagging him off. I always believed. Yeah, that one.
We could also have...
Well, that's the thing.
And I gave her a good tonguing as well, which was a brilliant quote.
No. But so basically, I'm in charge of the shop for reasons that are quite evident right now.
Well, yes, because if I had a go, it'd just be a load of knob gags on a T-shirt, which you know, I'm bang on board with.
But they've all got our lovely little logo on that was designed by Adam, and they all have a little quote on. If people want to go to our shop, it's, as I said, it's spreadshirt.co.uk/the Wednesday week. So we've tweeted it and it's on our Facebook. So please get involved. And honestly, those £2 a shirt are not going into our pockets. They are going into more sort of promotional stuff and stuff to make the podcast better. So please get involved.
And it does have to be said that people have actually ordered T-shirts as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I would like to thank everybody that has done that. Yeah. And if you are one of those people... Cheers
to the first person that ordered I'm on Vic's list. Brilliant.
If you are one of those people, please do tweet us a picture of you wearing that T-shirt. And of course, we shall make it properly well known that you must clearly have more money than sense. Right, so let's. That's just about actually going to bring us to an end for this evening, unless anybody else has any other little bits.
Well, I do need to mention Stokey that came all the way down to Basingstoke to came all the way from Basingstoke to Easter last night to watch Raider Johnson play, and he didn't. However, we did meet him in the stands, and. Well, I meet footballers all the time, because I'm so showbiz and whatnot. But I think Stokey got a bit overwhelmed. I think he loved it, I think I just want to say thanks a lot, because it's been it's nice to meet people via Twitter and via this show and via the football club. It's actually been really cool, and I think I want to go and work for Eastleigh Town now, just so I can meet all the ex-Wednesday players that are there, because I think we're on 3 now.
Hey, they're looking for a manager. Get in there.
Who have they got? They've got Reader. Who else is there?
Actually, we should. Well, Lee Peacock's there as the youth
coach.
Of
Course, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Raider Johnson, who's there now, and there was a guy called I need to pronounce Ubayi or something like that. He was on the bench last night. Yeah, and he used to be in our youth team. Yeah, and but I think the gaffer last night ended up getting the sack this morning. So hashtag for this week is Peacock for Eastleigh, and see if we can get that trending and. Because obviously with me being down the road, there'll be a lot of Lee Peacock-based sketches and skits and, me just clinging on to him just to hold his coat one more time.
You can carry the ball bag around for him and everything, Fudge. I just think what a wonderful T-shirt that would make as well. I carry Lee Peacock's ball bag. That'd be a marvellous T-shirt.
Hey, listen,
Brilliant.
I do the
Vic,
knob
get
gags
logged
round
into
here.
it.
Oh my god.
And of course, Fudge, if people want to contact you over there on the Twitch feed, where can we do that?
Get me under Lee Peacock or at SWFC or I'm actually on at Dan Fudge. Come and give me a twitching. And if you are based in the south, come down Eastleigh Town because apparently I do that now.
Victoria, my darling, if people want to get a little view, where can we do that?
My lord, I actually have another little bit to announce to the group tonight. I have 2 little boys that are about to join me in my household with me and my boyfriend and my dog. I know, how exciting. Their bed is ready. And they're not babies, they are fish. So I am getting, I am getting 2 little fish on Saturday morning before the Leeds match, and we have already decided that they will be called Carlos and taking
Fudge. Carlos and Fudge.
No.
Carlos and James.
Sort of like
James and Fudge. Call them James and Fudge.
taking a hint from
Carlos
Fudge,
and Lee
we're going to
Peacock.
have Carlos and Tom Lees, all one word.
Oh, Tom Lees.
So I've stolen Fudge's cat's name, but we're going to have Carlos and Tom Lees. Their tank is currently preparing. She have to put all this shit in it and whatever else. And at the moment, it's just loads of blue pebbles and a floating football.
Sounds like the Olympic pool in Rio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's what it is.
exactly.
Just a word of advice, Vic. Back in 2010, my missus at the time, now ex-missus, she said to me she wanted a biorb for Christmas. So I thought, all right, mint. And this biorb was like 150 quid. So I was driving all over Croydon, where I was living, and I was driving all over, and I bought this big square thing, and just as I pull up a traffic light, somebody back-ended me, a little chav in a Peugeot, and put a big crack down the front of it. So I had to go and buy another one. So I've now spent 300 quid on this bloody thing. And the reason that I was in that traffic jam is because I was going back to Pets at Home to buy a Spongebob Squarepants ornament. And, it was completely out of the way. And Spongebob Squarepants cost me 150 quid. But it gets worse. So what I did, I walked into the shop and I said, yours looks really sparkly. This is after Christmas now. I went, yours looks really sparkly. I was buying a Patrick to accompany SpongeBob. And I said, how do you get it so shiny? It went, oh, we put Windoline in ours. So I was like, oh, great idea. That's banging. So I've gone home and put Windoline in my fish tank. So 2 days later, all my blowfish are dead. Right? And I've gone, what's gone off here? So I've gone storming back to Pets at Home and gone, you do not put Windoline in the fish tank. He went, whoa, did you have fish in it? I went, of course I've got bloody fish in it. Oh, it's a fish tank with no bloody fish in. He goes, we do. It's just for display. That's why it's got Windoline in it. Oh, so I looked closely at this fish tank. There weren't a fish in it. It was just a display for biorb, and they put the Windoline in it just to make it look nice.
Just a tip, Vic. I learned this when I was about 8 years old. You know that blue stuff that you feed them? Don't eat it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Of course, if you would like to send Victoria more tips on how to look after new fishes, Victoria,
yes!
where can you do that?
I'll tweet photos out, my lord. I will. I'm so excited. I'll tweet a photo in a minute of my new fish tank, my floating football. But you can find me at Victoria1867 on Twitter. Don't find me on anything else, it's weird.
Jamesy Holbein, if people want to find out of you over there on Twitter, where can we do that?
I'm just about to post a link to a story that I've just been reading on the... it's not called The Independent anymore because it doesn't exist. It's just I now on their website, about a guy who was doing... What's the Olympic sport where they have to jump over a pole? Is that the high jump or the pole vault or something?
Pole jumping.
Pole jumping. When he was doing that, and he'd made it all the way over the top, and then knocked it off with his penis. It's quite a funny story.
He's mortified about it, isn't he? He's actually genuinely devastated that he's become an internet celebrity because his bell end knocked a pole off.
If just wore some tighter pants, it wouldn't have been a problem. But it's brilliant. I love like the up close footage where you just see it kind of like flop out of its position and knock it off. It's brilliant. Anyway, so if you want to see the link to the man who missed out on the chance of an Olympic gold because of his knob, it's at James Marriott.
And of course, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure to have Joe on. Joe Albeen. I say this every single time. I'm sure there's nobody that's not following you, that's not listening to this anyway. But if people do want to find you and your gajillion followers over there on Twitter, where can we do that, old boy?
It's you can find me at Yes We Cran, YESWECRANN. If you want to find out a load of pointless stats that I put on, really.
Absolutely, they're not pointless at all. It's a fantastic.
Your stats are great, Joe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think
Great
last time,
stats.
the quote we used last time were they're not
Joe.
boring as shit, because you have to put them into some kind of context, don't you, Joe? And if people do want to read the bloggage on your statage, where can we do that, Albin?
That is my my website. That's Yes We Cran, same as my Twitter, but it's .co.za for South Africa. So yeah, you can find it on there. As long as I don't get too many at once, because my website don't like it when I get too popular and it crashes. Maybe enough bandwidth on it.
When you're pumping it too much, it just breaks down completely.
Yeah.
My lord!
Lordship.
Oh dear. Of course, if you'd like to get hold of me over there on the Twitter, you can do that at Lord H. That's L0_H. If you'd like to get hold of the podcast, of course, you can do that as well at T.
What? L0_H? What just happened there? Have you just changed into Low Hillsborough?
L0RD_H. I think you'll find.
Victoria.
It's all right. It's all right. Just letting you know.
It's all right, Low. It's all right.
That's what we're gonna. Yeah, you know, like remember when Jennifer Lopez went to be J-Lo? He's gonna be called H-Lo now. You know what I mean? Yeah. My love don't cost a thing. You'll be doing a duet with Pitbull next.
Oh, my love does cost lots, Fudgy Holbein. If you would like to get hold of the podcast, you can do that at TWWcast. Of course, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, find us over there on the YouTubes as well. Of course, like all the bits and bobs we do too. Ladies and gents, it's been a...
And Instagram. We have Instagram, my lord. We all found out this week.
Yeah, we all found out.
We have Instagram. I know. Like, Dickie Owl just, like, goes away and does his stuff. But we're
probably on Bebo as well.
Yeah, we're probably on Snapchat. I probably sent loads of nudes out. I just don't even know. But yeah,
I think you might have noticed that, Victoria.
No, probably not.
No, not Vic. She just says that nudes willy-nilly.
Yeah, only to you, Fudge. But it's TWWcast on Instagram as well. So give us a little follow. I think that's what you do. Do you follow? Do you? I don't.
I think you should say it like you know, like if you do it as a ghetto chick from Harlem, but also say it in a Yorkshire accent. So give us a follow.
Follow, babies. Yeah.
Give us Instagram a follow.
Find us. Exactly. So you can find us on the Instagram at TWWcast, y'all.
So are we still recording?
That might not even be the right. That might not even be the right link.
It's been a pleasure, as always, ladies and gents. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Be good, be safe,
and we'll see you
real soon.
There's a chance here.